guests today. First of all, we have the mayor of Eunice. We have a lady that Juan and I are ecstatic has come to Eunice. That is Alicia Meir. She is the Director of Tourism and Main Street. Thank you for coming, Alicia. I've got her phone number on speed dial. I'd also like to introduce Jesse Bellard. All of you know him, but I still want to give him credit for being here president of the St. Parish Council. Also today, who is also a Rotarian, is Kobe Clavier, who is also on the Parish Council. I also have today Bonnie Kaiser. Bonnie is one of the owners of Lakeview Park. And the reason I'm pointing out Bonnie is because they do a tremendous amount of tourism in Eunice. If you need a band, or if, this is her best time. If you need to know what kind of beer to serve to a certain age group, Bonnie knows. And I'd also like to introduce right now, who is going to continue on with the introductions, Randy Fontenot, our chief. Now, I have the very great pleasure of introducing a very close friend of mine, and as her maiden name, she shares the name Dawson.
Well, I'd like to thank all Rotarians for allowing us to be here today and to invite us, and I'm saying us because I'm a part of a very important group that's you're gonna see a lot of action happening, and we've already started. We, in 2020, the nonprofit association, the Association for the Liberty Theater in Eunice, Louisiana was formed. And we have members here today, and I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce those members to you. And we, again, allowing us to have this platform to present, tell you about what we're about. So today I'd like to introduce Joelle Salva. Joelle is serving as our chairman right now. We have Paul Beagle. Many of you have met Paul. He's doing the great work on the building of the Liberty Theater. We're distinguishing the two projects. It's a private investment that he's doing, he and his wife. They're going to be living downtown, and we're really excited about that. So he's here in all the activity there. We have Charles Seal. Charles was part of the original group that did the restoration in the 80s of the theater, and he's always been involved with downtown, with the Main Street program and various projects, so we're really glad to have him on board too. I'll see Laura Pete. Laura's also on our board. Laura and Bonnie out at Lakeview. We have Dwight Jodon. Dwight has also been very active in the efforts of the board and the association. He is truly Lieutenant Governor of all Louisiana, and I'm so happy to welcome our Lieutenant Governor, Billy Nungesser.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. It's great to be here. And as a fellow Rotarian, and I'm excited. Main Street looks great. And you know, through this shutdown, we learned a lot about Louisiana. As we stepped up and asked everyone to staycation right here at home and share those special places with people, it really had an impact on keeping a lot of businesses alive that were very close to going under. And our job's not over. It's one thing to get open back up, but it's another thing to make sure these businesses, these attractions and shops are making money. Because getting back open, if you're not making money, you're not going to survive. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are how do we do that, what's the best way to do that, And I want to hear, I'm going to go through it. I know Rotary is a time-sensitive meeting, so I'm going to run through pretty quickly. But I want to save some time to get your ideas, thoughts, and any new ideas. So I always have to do this for my fellow Rotarians, but you know, in 2018, we put a marker down in Plaquemines Parish where I was president to honor Paul Harris, our founder. And in case you didn't know it, you know, we always say the good comes out to people after a hurricane, right? Well, Paul Harris rode out a hurricane down in South Plaquemines. He was actually crossing the river after getting some oysters on the east bank, and the winds picked up, and they rode out a hurricane down in South Plaquemines in the rafters in a church, and afterwards began to help people and feed and help people pick up the pieces. And in 1905, back in Chicago, back home, having lunch with a few buddies, he talked about that experience and the need to have an organization to put service over South. And look where we are today. So we like to think, we put up a plaque down there to honor his experience for that hurricane, and like to think, at least the research says, that many of the things he talked about at that lunch with his buddies that started Rotary were because he saw the need after that hurricane in South Plaquemines. So we like to brag about that the you know, core beginning of Rotary happened right here in Louisiana. So I thought I'd share that with you. You know, this year's been a crazy year. And how do we keep people excited about Louisiana? One of the things we did was we had a virtual Mardi Gras. Before the shutdown, we started promoting Mardi Gras all over Louisiana. Family-friendly, affordable Mardi Gras in every community that hosts parades. And we saw incredible increase. People didn't know there was a Mardi Gras other than New Orleans. And people started booking trips directly to other cities and towns, affordable, family-friendly Mardi Gras. In some areas of the state, like Shreveport, we saw double-digit increases. And we were really doing well on promoting that. So we wanted to keep the Mardi Gras alive. So we partnered with Mardi Gras World and NOLA.com, and we did a virtual Mardi Gras, talking about all those great parade cities, unique things where they throw the hot dogs here and they chase the chicken and all those things. To get people hungry for some Mardi Gras. And at the end, we said, listen, you can go to the site below and book your trip next year because it's going to be bigger, better than that. We had hundreds of thousands of people sign up and go to investigate how to come to Mardi Gras. So that was just one of the things we did to really keep the people in tune with Louisiana. You know, this past year we pardoned another crawfish. We wore our mask, but we took one lucky crawfish out to the Chapel Basin, and this year we brought it to Nichols, and we named it Lafitte after my friend's restaurant there, Chef Foltz, and we let him go in a state park. And I'll tell you, every year we get a lot of publicity from that because it's something unique we do here. And I had a chance in Lake Charles to visit with the President and Vice President Pence, and it was around Thanksgiving one year, and I said, Mr. Vice President, listen, I know y'all pardoned a turkey at the White House. He said, Billy, let me tell you, that's a big deal. We two turkeys actually parade around. I said, Mr. Vice President, I know the story, but let me tell you something. Down in Louisiana, the first Tuesday after Mardi Gras, we take one lucky crawfish, we give him an escort, we take him out to the Chapel Basin, we bring him to a university, we pardon him, and we let him live his life out in a state park while the rest of his family is boiled alive. And he looked at me and he said, son, what the hell are you talking about? I said, have a good day, Mr. Vice President. He didn't quite get it, but we have a lot of fun with this, and it kind of kicks off crawfish season every year, and it gets a lot of people thinking about Louisiana. You know, you mentioned, and we've got a great team. I see many of our partners here in tourism. We're very fortunate to have people that truly have a love and passion for Louisiana. And we did have, before the shutdown, 4 record-breaking years. And to think you know, over 50 million people in 2019 visited Little Louisiana. And I tell the legislators, when we're looking at bouncing back, they left behind 1.9 billion in taxes that you and I didn't have to pay. That's a little over $1,000, actually $1,100 per Louisiana family. That's a lot of money. So as we look at funding in this next stimulus package and what things we can fund to get those numbers back to those record-breaking years, the good news is we've got more assets than any other state. The food, the music, the people. You know, we treat strangers like family. Nowhere else in the world do you leave with a friend for life, or do you invite strangers over to your backyard for crawfish. But we're going to have to spend more money, and we're going to have to think outside the box, because after a hurricane, everybody wants to help us. We're competing with every state. You know, Mississippi's already spent $11 million on tourism. Tennessee, $22 million. Hawaii just budgeted $100 million for tourism. So these are numbers that we've never had to spend that kind of money before. So we came up with the Sunshine Plan, and it's a 4-part program. And first is the staycation, where we've been doing this for the last several years. Go to your part of Louisiana you haven't seen. You're going to have a great time, meet some great people, and tell your friends and family, and it's worked. We've been going all over the state and really promoting those small towns, and it's really helped a lot of these towns survive through the slowdown. And we're also doing things now that, without spending money, to make sure those international visitors don't forget about us. We recently mailed the Zazarak glass in a mix to all of our Canadian travel agents and tour operators, and we did a toast, and we said the gumbo's hot and the beer's cold, when you can travel again, we want you back in Louisiana. And then we also lit up the Superdome on Canadian Day, July 1st. That picture made it all over Canada, let them know we're thinking about it. We're doing those things every week in Germany and France to keep those international visitors hungry for Louisiana, knowing that's the last part of our plan. In the last part, we will end up marketing again because it's probably the last group to come back. We know now people are driving, so we've been promoting the drive market, the state parks. Stay 3 nights, get the 4th night free. That's really been successful because we've got a lot of retirees coming and taking advantage of that 4th night at several state parks. And then the 3rd market is the fly market. Last week, the numbers highest since the shutdown. 87% of Americans are going to plan a trip in the next 6 months. That's the good news, but they're not as comfortable getting back on a plane yet. So a lot of that is going to be drive market. And as we see those numbers going up every week for the fly market, when we feel like we'll get the most bang for our buck, we'll be marketing in those areas. And then, of course, the last market is the international market. Now, one way we're trying to fill our calendar up is by offering Louisiana Lt. If you know of a group, large or small, that we can get to relocate, might have canceled going somewhere last year, we can get them to come to Louisiana. We'll pay for the first night with seafood, and we'll give them a local band and musician. It helps our musicians out, and it helps our seafood industry out. And if you know of a group, and you want me to call them, I've been calling people. Here about 3 weeks ago, someone gave me the name of a veterinarian group, 500 veterinarians. They canceled in Chicago, I believe, and they were looking to relocate, and they were looking at several other cities, and I called a gentleman up, and I said, look, this is Lieutenant Governor. We'll give you free seafood and a local band and musician. Pick any place in Louisiana, and we want you here. And first he said, is this really Lieutenant Governor? And I said, yes, it is. And he said, well, look, he goes, I'm going to have to, check with my members and poll them and see, but that's a pretty kind offer. Can I get back with you? I said, absolutely. He said, look, can I ask a favor? He said, I just pulled in my driveway. My wife is never going to believe the Lieutenant Governor called. Would you just tell her hello? I said, sir, if you move the event to Louisiana, I'll talk to all your kids. And he did put his daughter on the phone, so we got a good shot. But seriously, you know, I mentioned earlier, getting back open is one thing. But if we don't do absolutely everything we can to drive as many tourists in as many cities and towns, many of these businesses won't survive. In regular times, it's tough. So we want to do absolutely everything. That's why we're going to put money behind every event you do. If it's a fair festival and you need to reach 30,000 people to make it successful, we'll put money through social media to make sure that happens, whatever it is. And we know we're going to have to put a little extra money to make every one of them successful. One, because we're competing against every state. And two, because still, you're going to have a few people that aren't going to be willing to travel. So we're going to have to reach more people. So reach out to us for anything we can do. We've got social media people that will get it out to enough people to make sure it's successful. Now, we did get $5 million in the first round of grant money. We gave out right at $4 million to all the convention and visit bureaus. We also gave the brewery trail, the bed and breakfast, the restaurant association. We gave all those independent groups money because they know best how to promote their industry. And then we took the $1 million left and we're doing some matching grants. And then we also put a little money into research so we know when and where we should be marketing to make sure we're getting our message targeted in those areas. I met with the governor last week and he said, how much money are you going to need to bring back tourism? I said, how much you got? So, and it depends on whether we're going to have to do a one-time ask for the next 3 years, which people say it's going to be 5 years. I believe we can bring it back to those record-breaking numbers in as little as 2 or 3 years if we do this right. And but I think we're going to need a lot more money because we're going to have to compete on TV. And we're looking at things like taking over at football games in the SEC and putting a tent at those games. We're even talking to the Macy's Day Parade about putting a float in and having Lauren Daigle sing in that parade. We're looking at some of these things and how many viewers they have and what can we get the most bang for our buck. But no idea is a bad idea if you think of something we can do. The other thing we've been really successful at is getting you guys to do commercials in your town, your city. And Bill's here today. He'll come out and interview some of the elected officials and just talk about what's important in your town. We'll go to some of the restaurants and shops. And we're putting money behind these to get people moving around Louisiana. And we're going to keep doing this until everyone's back 100%. And I'm going to share one of those with you today.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, reminding you to take a Louisiana staycation, but don't take it from me. Take it from these great Louisiana ambassadors.
I'd like to invite everyone to staycation in my neck of the woods, which includes Allen, Evangeline, Avoyelles, St. Landry, and Acadia parishes. And here we are at one of our premier destinations, Chico State Park. Here at Chico State Park, there are 6,400 acres for you to explore. You can fish, bike, hike, canoe, and camp in the very shaded RV sites nestled along rolling hills. I encourage you to head on over to Allen Parish to canoe or tube in one of Louisiana's most enjoyable scenic waterways, the Whiskey Chitta. While you're there, be sure to visit Grant Christmas Tree Farm. This is far from just a tree farm. This place is chock-a-block with amazing activities like a petting zoo and a winter wonderland gift shop that is so cool and unique. If you want to sample some of the best cuisine, then you have got to visit Avoyelles Parish. I've never had a bad meal there. If you're looking for family fun, don't miss the ever so popular Gator Grounds and RV Water Park. As you can see, there's lots to do in the heart of Louisiana, so I invite you to staycation with us.
Another outdoor location for your next vacation would be Crooked Creek Recreational Park, located in the northeast of Antelope Parish. Crooked Creek has over a 400-acre lake for boating and fishing. It has a beach for the children. It has primitive camping spots, RV spots, cabins, nature trails, and events throughout the year for your family to enjoy. It's one of my personal favorites because it's located between my hometown of Turkey Creek and Pine Creek, where they have smoked meats, bait, ice, and groceries, everything you need for camping. Why don't you come out, enjoy a little piece of my heaven.
Louisiana's a trip, so take one today, right here in Louisiana. After all, it's yours. Go to LouisianaStaycation.com to learn more.
So, thank you. So, we're going to keep circling as places open back up. So, grab Bill's contact information and set him up to come back and film. And it's important that we do these things because even getting back open, these businesses don't have the money to market and fill up their shops, their restaurants. So we're going to keep doing this until everybody's back making money. One of the things we got a little hiccup in trying to work out all the private-public partnerships. It's new, but the legislature voted to let us do private-public partnerships in our state parks. And one of our newest things is glamping. My wife said I missaid cramping one time. She corrected me. But it's a queen-size bed on a platform in a tent. And if you want to take a real adventure, you can take a canoe out to one on an island, or you can hike 3 miles through the woods. I like the one where you pull your car right up next to it. but they're really, people come from all over the country to go glamping. And we're adding more and more to all of our state parks every day. And we're looking for those entrepreneurs that want to put something in a state park that'll benefit the communities. We put horseback riding in Bogachita. The state parks gets $2 a half day, $4 a whole day. He charges $30 and $50. He's making a killing, but he's got to feed those horses.
Yeah.
But we've been having hundreds of people. He sells out every weekend. And we just filmed a national TV show about horseback riding in Louisiana State Parks. We're looking to do those at other state parks. We were supposed to open a mountain bike trail that was partially funded by a bike group and a grant. This is a beginners, intermediate, and advanced. One of the jumps is actually 30 feet over the beginners. I won't be doing that. But it was supposed to open last Saturday because of rain. We delayed it. But we had over 1,000 people from 11 states signed up to come. So those kind of we've got a family that opened a canoeing a rental in one of the state parks. We've got tubing. But we're looking for those private-public partnerships that will bring more people into the parks, and then they'll stay and shop and spend money in the community. What we won't do is allow anybody to open anything in a park that will hurt the community. We don't want any restaurants. We want people to leave and go eat in the community. And we have a couple people looking at these lazy river VIP RVs, and we'll allow that in an area where there's not one nearby. But we absolutely will vent everything with the local community. And if it's not a good thing for everybody, we're not going to do it. So if you have some ideas and thoughts, but let us know. But this fourth night free, I'm going to share a little commercial with you because it's really catching on. And we've had our best year ever, even in this shutdown, at our state parks. This is my favorite.
Visit one of our 21 state parks all over Louisiana.
Let's go to the state park. There are 21 of them, you know. And the state parks have biking and hiking, tubing, and we can even ride horses. Or we can go exploring and even swim by a beach. They have cabins, really nice ones, with long fishing piers.
Don't forget to tell them about the discounts.
Oh yeah, book 3 nights and we give the 4th night free.
Great job.
Thanks.
Louisiana State Parks. We're ready for your adventure. She makes me look good. She's a rock star. But it's really helping get people out to our state parks. I get letters and things every week, emails, saying, wow, I've lived here and didn't even know it was this close to my home. But we need to really, we've done a good job at getting them in better shape. We've got a lot of work to do. We're putting direct sewage. But we're looking for people, if you want to build luxury cabins and split 80-20, we want to talk to you. We want to add more amenities and things to do to get more people to go out and enjoy the state parks. Now, I wanted to mention the Volunteer Louisiana, which is under my office. I want to thank law enforcement and all the first responders that always step up to the plate. But we saw last year, on top of COVID, a hurricane for the first time struck the shores of Louisiana and left North Louisiana as a hurricane. Devastation across the state. And we still have volunteers over there volunteering to help people get back into homes. And the volunteers, your neighbors, your friends, are still giving of their time to help those people. And that's what Louisiana does. And just incredible acts of kindness from Cameron all the way north. We're over there still feeding people and helping people get back in their homes. And that's the great thing about Louisiana. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. Now, we knew we had to do something in the Sunshine Plan a little special. And knowing that You Are My Sunshine is the second most recognized song in the world, next to Happy Birthday, if you didn't know that. We wanted to add a little new flair to it. So we bought the rights, and we got our ambassador, Lauren Daigle, to re-record it. We also got John Goodman, and they break them up in 30-second spots. John Goodman did not want to be paid. He said, I love Louisiana too much. So we're doing a lot of different things to get people excited about Louisiana. This particular one is targeted to the outdoors, because we know with RV sales, bikes, canoes, and boats selling out everywhere, people aren't going to buy them and just use them this year. That's going to be a trend to do the great outdoors in the foreseeable future. So I'm going to share this video with you.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You come to Louisiana for smiles, not souvenirs. You come here to get lifted up, spun around, and put down in a brighter, lighter place. You make me happy when skies are gray. You come here for the distinctive music and the amazing food. But what really spills out of the horns and over the edges of your plate is joy. Some people might call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine away. So come live life to the fullest, where there's an abundance of good food, good music, and good times. So there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. This is Lauren Daigle, inviting you to come feed your soul in Louisiana. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So please don't take my sunshine. Please don't take my, please don't take my sunshine away.
At the peak, so we had a peak year right before COVID hit and all. What was generating statewide tourism?
You know,
It's a huge number.
when I first got elected, there was a trip planned to Canada. And we were there, and I stood in the lobby and I watched these tourism folks work the tables. And I was supposed to give a 30-minute speech that night on Louisiana. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I just got elected. But I saw the love and passion each one of those tables had for their attraction or their city or their town. I'm like, these are the people you can talk to. So when I got up that night, I said, look, I want to welcome y'all. I'm the Lieutenant Governor of Louisiana, but I'm going to call each of these people up, talk about their city, their town. And they did it with such love and passion. But while they spoke, I went around each table because I wanted to know. It's my job now. Why do you send people to Louisiana? And these travel agent tour operators, at every table, somebody had a story about the way we treat people. There were 12 couples that went to Randall's in Lafayette, took a bus tour. And a lady saw him looking at her, dancing funny on the dance floor. So that lady saw him looking, and she went over and dragged him out their chair and told him to zydeco dance. This tour operator said,
10 years ago that happened. They go back every year, the best trip of their life. And there was a couple in Crowley, and they liked the bread pudding. Well, they were bragging on it. The waitress went and got the chef, came and sat at the table and wrote out the recipe. And there was a couple that back then they had a map, and they were trying to get to Poverty Point. They had rented a car in New Orleans, and they got lost and pulled in the gas station and asked the gentleman in the pickup truck how to get there. He said, follow me. 45 minutes out of his way, he took them to the front gate. And each one of them said, nowhere else in the world do we send people that they get treated like that. Your people, you treat them like family. And so, how I'd love to take credit, it's the people. It's the way we treat people. They leave Louisiana with a warm and fuzzy feeling, usually a friend for life. And that's why I have no doubt that our record-breaking number of years will be back sooner than later because of that love and passion. You all have it here. Look at this town. I mean, I pulled into town and I saw the street, and by the way, elected officials, great job on keeping your city clean. I'm a big nut for cleaning up Louisiana. Matter of fact, Thursday's Earth Day. Saturday, I'll be in Slidell with the mayor picking up trash, because don't ask people to do something if you're not willing to do it yourself. But we just got an incredible, we are blessed here in Louisiana, and so you made the right move moving here.